Borderlands has been one of the most infamous would-be summer blockbusters in quite some time. Initially filmed in 2021, when it was actually shot before star Cate Blanchett's Oscar-nominated turn in Tar, the film ended up going in for some significant reshoots with Deadpool director Tim Miller filling in for original helmer Eli Roth, who went off to shoot the well-received Thanksgiving. Given that Roth retains sole directorial credit and has been front and center in the movie's publicity campaign, it's hard to say definitively what was or wasn't part of his original concept of the film. Still, I imagine that this seam-laden misfire wasn't it. So in this one, a bounty hunter named Lilith, who's played by Cate Blanchett, is hired to retrieve the kidnapped daughter, played by Ariana Greenblatt, of a tycoon who happens to be on a dangerous world named Pandora, with an elite former soldier, Roland, played by Kevin Hart, and a deranged muscle man named Krieg, played by Florian Montinu. Now, I should note that I've never played the Borderlands games before, and I'm not particularly familiar with the world depicted here. I went into this as a movie fan through and through, and despite all the bad buzz, I was optimistic that it would at least be entertaining. While I haven't loved all of Eli Roth's movies, I do think he's a good director, and his films, whatever they are never boring. Well, until now anyway, but then again, is this really his movie? Because as it is, Borderlands is a disaster. With its classic rock soundtrack and eye-popping color scheme, and an eccentric cast of characters, it feels like it's trying hard to be a Guardians of the Galaxy clone, albeit without any of that film's charm or vision. Roth's original cut might have been edgier, or at least more interesting, but as it is, Borderlands is to Guardians of the Galaxy, and another movie it seems heavily indebted to, Fury Road, as Solar Babies is to The Road Warrior. Heck, that's actually an insult to Solar Babies, because at least that movie was fun. This is just a hacked-up mess anchored by a miscast lead in Cate Blanchett. Well, no doubt a dazzling actress, she's not a natural action heroine. Were she to have gotten better material here, she maybe could have done something with it, but she's stuck with a stock anti-hero role, with her the hard-bitten bounty hunter who never, for a second, seems quite as ruthless as the other characters treat her throughout. Complete with hair flips, Blanchett seems almost to be sending up action roles, but doesn't bring her normal gravitas to a part for which she looks ill-suited. However, Lilith is only one of a rather dull band of heroes the film centers around. Kevin Hart plays his action-driven role straight-laced, with him not even cracking a smile. He comes off as someone badly trying to be convincing in an against-type part, but they could have hit some middle ground here, let some of his humor, the thing that made him famous, shine through a little bit. Hidden behind a mask, Creed 2's Florian Montinu, in a role that seems like it was trying hard to be this movie's Drax, isn't able to make all that much of an impression, while Jack Black's voiceover as the robot Claptrap wears out its welcome within minutes. As a scientist they pick up on the way, Jamie Lee Curtis seems to be trying to introduce some eccentricity into her part. Still, I couldn't help but think that despite her age, she and Blanchett should have switched roles, as Curtis would have made for a much better Lilith. And if Liam Neeson can do action films in his 70s, Curtis can do them in her 60s. Ariana Greenblatt as Tiny Tina, the pyromaniac kidnapped child, seems to be having more fun than anyone. However, she notably ages throughout the films, as she is the one who makes the reshoots probably the most obvious. The first scene in the movie where she meets Roland and Krieg seems like a dead giveaway, with her seeming a lot older in that scene than she is later on in the film. Other things that suggest a lot of post-production tinkering went into the movie include the copious amounts of narration, which is always a dead giveaway for Blanchett, and how the CGI varies from being quite good to seeming like a bargain basement add-on. At least it only runs 100 minutes, but even that felt too long, with the episodic action-adventure wearing itself out really fast. It should also be noted that Edgar Ramirez, who can be terrific, is saddled with the dullest villain role since Madame Web, and the score by Steve Jablonsky feels too close to what we've seen a million times before in other sci-fi action movies. So is there anything about Borderland that works? Other than a welcome appearance by Gina Gershon, who chews a little bit of scenery and is still a knockout? Not really, with this one of the worst big-budget movies I've seen in a while. It seems like it will barely be a blip in the filmographies of Blanchett and Hart, and Eli Roth is already reshifting his focus back towards horror. It's a movie that will be forgotten within weeks. Ultimately, that's the best thing for everyone, as it's a dud through and through that I only give a really bad 3 out of 10 to. This is not a good movie at all.